What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. So it is an absolutely beautiful day, as you can see by my t-shirt. The sun's out, the birds are out, the skies are blue. Maybe not the best sunlight exposure for filming. It's probably a little bright, I get that, but you know what? I like bright sun, so I'm bringing you guys out today because we're planting up our tomatoes. So bear with the bright sun. I'm loving it. Hopefully you guys are loving it too. We're gonna plant some tomatoes up, and that's what we're gonna be doing today. Not a super informational video, but I'm sure you guys will glean something from it. And as always, if you guys have any questions throughout this video, throw them down in the comments box. That's totally fine, and I always read through them, and if there's some that I can answer at that moment, I do answer them if I have time. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. We're just gonna be planting up the tomatoes, getting things in the ground. We do still have some peppers, some zucchini, some squash, a lot of stuff. There's a ton of stuff actually downstairs, still underneath the grow lights that we're bringing out periodically to get them hardened off and ready to be planted. But it's a slow going process right now. We're a little bit behind schedule. And so, you know, I don't rush these things. I don't put things at the forefront because if I push things, you know, then everything kind of gets out of sync. I lose my schedule, I lose my train of thought. And I like to keep things very organized because it's a lot to manage here. It's a lot to manage, a lot to plant. And so I do things in baby steps. Today is gonna be tomatoes. Tomorrow is gonna be peppers. The next day after that, it's going to be cucumbers and zucchini. So we're kind of just gonna get things into the garden slowly, and you can bet I'm gonna bring you all along for it. So yeah, we're just gonna come along today to plant up the tomatoes. Now, as you can see, I've already gotten them all placed out here. I placed them out here earlier today as I was kind of picking where I wanted things to go and kind of seeing if I had space for everything. And one of the things that I noticed early on is that I was going to have to cram things closer together than I normally do to make sure that everything fit. We planted 40 tomato plants this year, or 40 different varieties of tomato plants, in our ongoing effort to find biodiversity in our year of diversity. And that basically means we're only getting one type of each tomato. So we have, you know, one Roma, we have one Champagne Bubbles tomato. You know, we have a lot of different, we have many tomato plants, but only one specific variety of each type of tomato. And so we have 40, and we only have 2 beds we can plant them in. And that kind of posed a small problem in that, you know, our traditional spacing, about 4 square feet per plant, didn't really work out that well because we would end up with about 12 plants that they didn't have a home, and they'd either have to go to the cottage garden or be donated to a friend. And I didn't, you know, I wanted these for a reason. I picked these plants out for a reason. So I said, you know what? Let's do something we've never done before. You know, I know for a fact I can get by with about 2 to 2.5 square feet per tomato plant in a very high intensity setting. I know I can get that close. And you know, I never have tried to plant them that close. So why not make this year a first try? So that's what we're gonna be doing. Is we actually have 3 rows of tomato plants in here. Normally we only go with 2 rows, and we leave a center row for airflow and for other plants like basil and things like that to be planted in. However, because we have so many plants, I'm actually using that center row for a tomato plant. I've planted them off center, as you'll see, and basically I have 18 plants in this bed, and I have 12 plants in that other bed. The 12 plants is what I would normally get in a bed. The 18 plants is really pushing the limits of high intensity gardening. The total bed space is 48 square feet. So if I have 18 plants in 48 square feet, it's a little bit over 2 square feet per plant. And so I know for a fact that I can do it. It'll be a challenge though to keep the fertility up, to make sure that I keep the plants well pruned. If I can keep them well pruned and I can keep the fertility up with fertilizer and regular feedings of compost tea and toppings of worm castings and things like that, I'm going to make sure that they are, you know, that they're getting good airflow and they're getting good nutrients, and that really should be all that they're going to need to grow perfectly fine that close. Obviously, we put the cores in, so we are using core gardening in these beds, and so that's going to make sure that the moisture is there. So I really don't see a problem with it necessarily, but it will be interesting to see how much we get out of these beds with them planted this closely together. So with that being said, let's get these planted up here. As you can see, some of these lower leaves are a little fried. That's totally fine. You know, I figured as we brought them out to weather them or to harden them off, they would be, you know, they'd be fried in the sun. As I said in the episode where I was hardening off my tomatoes, I said some of those, the very first leaves sometimes are, usually they're so spindly and thin that no matter how much time you give them to harden off, they'll still kind of burn up, and that's to be expected. But the other new leaves, they're coming out, they're nice and strong, but this is a real tall tomato plant. A little taller than I'd prefer, to be honest, at this point, but like I said, you know, we're 3 weeks later than normal, so I planted my plants March 15th or March 10th, something like that. And so they've had a lot of time to grow. Can't forget the fertilizer. We got our Trifecta Plus. I'm gonna put about a 1/4 cup. Mix it around the planting hole there. And plant the plant. This is the Pisano. We've got some really good Italian heirlooms that we're growing this year. Okay. And obviously I could have planted that a lot deeper too, but I figured, you know what? It's planted about 4 or 5 inches deeper than it was originally, so it's not gonna be all that bad. Now some of these look really great. I mean, this right here is the Crimson Sprinter, and these plants just look absolutely incredible. You know, some got lankier than others, and that just has to do with how they handle stress. Some plants can handle stress better than others, and that's just the truth about it. It's all like us, you know. Some people, I mean, we all get stressed, right? But some people handle stress better than others. This tomato is called Santium. I'm always laughing at some of the names for tomatoes. I mean, some of them are just downright hilarious. Other ones are just downright weird. And you always wonder what on earth was going through someone's head when they named that tomato. I mean, some are just generic, which are obvious. You know, you have your large red cherry. I mean, what are you gonna get? A large red cherry. It kind of helps, you know, the yellow pear. What is it? Well, it's gonna look like a yellow pear. But if you have something called Santium or, you know, Jersey Devil, it's a little difficult to tell what you're gonna get if you've never grown it before and you don't have a picture to reference. So it's kind of a surprise sometimes, because some of these we've gotten from viewers that don't provide a picture. They just give you a name and we say, okay, sure, we'll give that one a shot. And the name doesn't say much. One of the things I still find so funny is when people are walking by, I'm talking to the camera, and you know, even though we've been doing this now for, goodness, it's probably been, what, 8 years, 9 years, you still get that occasional person that has absolutely no clue why I'm talking to a camera. It's just so strange. You know, it's so funny to see people that have just no clue about people that have YouTube channels or that are content creators, because being in a small town, there's a lot of people that, you know, they barely know how to use their computer, let alone know what YouTube is. It's, you know, there's nothing against them. It's just culturally, that's the area I live in. And so you'll get older ladies with their husbands walking by, and they're staring like, you know, as if I was out here butt naked or something. When in reality, I'm just talking to a camera. And every once in a while, someone will stop and they'll shout, you know, what are you doing? And then I'll have to stop filming and tell them what I'm up to, because otherwise then I really look crazy if I don't respond. But usually all it takes is a little bit of communication, and they understand what I'm doing. I just tell them I'm filming gardening tutorials, and usually that's enough of a response for them to say, oh, okay, I understand. And usually after that, they just smile and wave. I'll tell you what though, if this actually turns out, I'm definitely gonna be doing this from now on. I've never planted tomatoes this close before. I know I can do it. I've seen it done on a commercial scale, but boy, you know, it's a whole different animal when they're in the ground. It's a whole different animal. I mean, when you're in a greenhouse that's got, you know, ventilation through fans and pH meters and you know, all the technology that goes into growing things commercially. It's a whole lot different than just throwing it out to Mother Nature and saying, here, you know, grow my crops. It's a lot different. It's a whole different animal. So we're kind of gonna just see how it goes. And the last thing to do is just water everything in. It's important to give them a real good soaking, otherwise they don't handle the transplant shock very well. You want to help me, Geneva? Yeah. Okay. Good job. Let's go to the next one. We want to water this for about 10 seconds. Can you count to 10?
Yeah. 10, 11, 12, 13, 16, 18.
Okay. All right. Next one.
18, 20, 16, 18, 20, that.
I don't think you're counting to 10, are you?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job. There we go. All finished up. Got all the tomato plants in and watered. And it feels so good to finally be officially gardening. You know, when you have cold weather crops in, it doesn't really feel like gardening. Even though there's stuff growing in the garden, it's kind of, like I said this before, it's a different feeling when you actually have warm weather crops in the ground, because it really sets the mood for it kind of, you know, spring is officially here type feeling. And so I've got that feeling just coursing through my veins. It feels so good to finally be outside, finally be planting. And I really hope that you guys enjoyed and feed off this energy to get out in your garden and enjoy it. You know, there's just something about being out here that I always say is so much more than just growing food for your family. You know, it's therapy. When I can see the sun just beaming in on me, you know, I can feel the warmth from the sun. I can hear the birds. I can see, you know, all of the beauty around me. I can smell the fresh air, and I get to be out here with my family and my wife and my daughter, the people I love being around the most. Those things all culminate to an experience that just fills me up, you know. And when I can fill my tank full, then I can better love other people. I can, you know, I can improve on myself. I can heal, and I can just be a better version of myself. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in for this episode. I appreciate all the support you give these episodes, and that means liking these videos and commenting on what you enjoyed or things you'd like to see in the future. And I really do hope that you found this video informative. It wasn't really intended to be, but I hope you found it informative. I hope you found it enjoyable, and I hope you found it at least inspirational to get out in the garden. And if you have not yet started a garden, there's still time, folks. There's still time to start a garden, and I would recommend you do it. Don't just watch my videos. Use these videos to get a garden going yourself, because I want you to experience them. That's what these videos are there for. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. And until tomorrow, we'll catch you all later. Grab big or go home, everyone. Bye. Check this out. I was just wrapping up the video that I did, and I came over here because I thought I saw something on the tomato plant, on the strawberry plant, and sure enough, look at that. How exciting is that? I mean, that right there is a good sight and a good feeling. So this is going to be an exciting development as this thing starts to grow. Looks awesome, doesn't it?